All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Hung Dynasty. That's what I have determined the title of the podcast will be, and all of you guys are a part of the Dynasty. So welcome back to the Dynasty. It's a good day. You know what's crazy? All the support and the viewership on my first 2 episodes. Crazy. You know what? People shit on YouTube all the time about what they do, but the algorithm is working. And it's getting the videos to the necessary people, and those people in the traffic, whatever. Cannot thank you enough. The only thing that's been on my mind the last couple days has been podcasting. And if it reaches that many people, and it resonates with that many people, you're just giving me more and more motivation for me to do what I love. My passions, my dreams are all becoming true because of you. So please subscribe, please like. And I know that's tacky to say in videos. I never really wanted to, I don't know. I guess if you're not in the situation, you don't really understand. And I was like, please drop a like, whatever. And it's very dismissive. You just all right, whatever, let's get back to the content. But I guess it does make a difference once you say how much you need it. I need it. Anyway, thank you, everyone, and welcome back for another podcast. In terms of what's been happening, I worked 2 12-hour shifts at my stupid job, and the entire time I was just thinking about, okay, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I tried to do 2 podcasts before this, and the first one I thought was really good. Listen back on it, said some pretty controversial things. And I kind of don't want to start out that way. I don't want to blow up my image before it's even made. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be too head forth in what I believe. Trust me, we'll get there. Because I think honesty is the best policy. However, if I'm really going to take this, the internet is also forever. And so I want to take a very light approach to sensitive topics. At least for now. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. So the first one wasn't necessarily PC. And I was like, I can't put that out. And then it kind of bummed me out, to be honest. But, you can't rush perfection. And nothing's ever going to be perfect. But I don't want to... And also, it was kind of scatterbrained. All these podcasts are going to sound a little scatterbrained. But, I feel like it could have been refined more. And it wasn't at the quality. Not to mention, it could have... It could have been taken 1 or 2 ways, and both those ways are not. I like to be a very middle grounded person, and I think I am. I think that I have very liberal and very conservative views. I had that thought the other day. Do I come across so I was having this thought just because of the women that are being involved in my life, or that I involve myself with, I guess. Because I don't care. As long as you're a good person, I'll talk to you, and we can hang out and do whatever. As long as you're cool. I don't care what you really believe in. Because there's, depending on what it is, for most things, you have, what's the word? You have, support for most opinions, okay? And it seems like most of the women that I involve myself with, or that prolong into, because you start talking to a girl, say for a couple days, and then you start talking to her for a couple months. Are you technically in a talking stage? I don't know. It's never really defined within the relationship, unless it's very obvious that she likes you. But whatever. we get to this talking stage, and most of the girls that I get to this talking stage with, they're most of the time they're liberal. And I don't know if that's just because I'm not very headstrong with my opinions and my values, because I do have like certain conservative values that I feel like those liberal women wouldn't like. And actually, that's what recently there was a lady I was talking to, and we started talking about freedom of speech, and I was like, that's why I love Kanye so much. And she was like, I miss the old Kanye. And that kind of triggered me because I'm a very big Kanye fan. And I was like, you don't love him now? I was like, what's the difference between him and now? I mean, I know there's an obvious difference between him and now, or then and now, but I'm not about to go rant on why Kanye is revolutionary. But I was like, what's the difference? I just wanted to see what she said. And she was like, he's anti-Semitic, he's this and that and this and that. And I'm like, I don't think, like, people love to take things for face value. They love to take things for exactly what people say without knowing the context or whether, like, the inflections on why they're saying it. It's a big reason why Andrew Tate got so much pushback, because he says, you know, very outlandish things about how to treat women, and then he'll say, like, in another breath, some very inspiring thing to, like, young men, and people are like, oh, but you can't listen to that because he said this. It's like, okay, well, he's obviously joking to some degree, and that doesn't invalidate the necessary truth of what he's saying in this other statement. He's saying you have to go to the gym. He's trying to, like, motivate young men, which is a giant problem in and of itself, and people can't deny that. But then when he says something on this other hand, then they're trying to invalidate everything that he ever says. And so I got into that discussion with her, and not about Andrew Tate, but Kanye. And she was like, no, blah, 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 blah. I miss old Kanye. And I was like, nah. I was like, it's either you like or you don't like Kanye. You can't pick and choose when you liked him, because he's always been the same Kanye. And he's always been outlandish. You just don't know. It did trigger. I don't know. Maybe I should not have gotten so triggered, but it was like our phone call too. We talked for like a couple weeks, and then we're like, we should talk on the phone. And I was okay. And it was pretty late, and she was like, I think I'll call you tomorrow. And I was like, okay. Or I'll text you tomorrow. I didn't text her, and she didn't text me. And I was like, you know what? And that's so crazy too, because from my opinion, from my perspective, if you have an opinion that I don't agree on, it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're a good person at the end of the day, and you recognize, you know, good from evil and bad intentions from good intentions, or even able to have a discussion about what it is that is, for one, distressful, that is making you so upset, or something that you don't necessarily understand, or that you think you understand and you don't, or just having a different perspective on the entire situation in general. I don't care. I've dated plenty of, like, different types of people, and they've all been vastly different in their belief systems, because, you know, I'm a very go with the flow type person. I'm not gonna hold you over the cross for thinking, for what's something that for disliking Kanye. Well, actually, I did to her. That's not a good example. I'm not gonna hold you over the cross for, well, I only say that because it goes into freedom of speech, and that is a core value of mine. And if you don't think that people should have freedom of speech, that's something that I can't really. There's no wiggle room on that. That when people like to talk about, oh, it's my basic human rights, it was what they're taking away. That's a basic human right, is freedom of speech. Basic human rights of, I don't even know what they try to talk about. They always just say, like, in terms of, they'll reference Trump and they'll say, he's taking away my human rights. It's like, what rights is he taking away? He doesn't care that you're trans. He doesn't care that you're gay. He doesn't care that you're anything else. From what I've seen, maybe I'm and right now, maybe I'm ill-informed. Please drop when he stated that he doesn't want any of that and he's taking away human rights, because I don't know. And I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to say it. And not in just this situation, but in multiple situations, especially with women, on topics when you're trying to have a romantic relationship with somebody and you're discussing your morals and your values. I'm willing to say I don't know. Is it bad to say I don't know? No, it's not. And I think that's why I get along with most people well. But recently, majority of the women that I talk to are liberal. And I wouldn't say I'm very liberal. I wouldn't say that I lean liberally. I did not vote for Kamala. I will say that. But it was making me think, it was like, do I come across as liberal-minded? You know? Like, what are these ladies looking at me and thinking, for one, like, they can reside in comfort with me to know that I'm not gonna, like, shove opinions down their throats. And so I must align in this certain way. And that's not necessarily the case, because then you start talking to me and it's like a bomb. You're gonna get surprised. Surprise, motherfucker. And it's gonna be me with my core values when you start asking me about them. So I don't know what the point of that was. Oh, that happened. The first thought of that was how my first pod was too controversial. And then the second one that I did was just rambling. I mean, it was like late at night. My roommate was sleeping. Didn't want to be too loud. Didn't want to be too animated. It was basically ASMR podcast. I was like, hey, everyone. How are you tonight? Thank you for liking the videos recently. The energy wasn't up. And I'm here to give you energy. I'm here to be the Alex Jones of podcasting without saying that Sandy Hook didn't exist. Jokes. This is a comedy podcast. Comedy. Mark Norman. I love them. That's who I look up to in terms of, like, people being themselves. I wish I could be a stand-up comedian. Too anxious. And you'd think, what's anxious about it? And it's like getting up on stage and whatever. And even this is like a little bit nerve-wracking, considering how many people watch the first couple of videos. I'm like, damn. Now it's like starting to set in about, like, I'm thinking bigger picture now of the stage that I'm on. Excuse me, I'm parched. Always keep a gallon on you. I'm on creatine. So you got to drink a lot of water when you're on creatine. I know you can't tell. It's because I got out of the gym for a long time. I got out of it for a while. I was like, I'm going to cut. Didn't really work out as much and just like ran. Couldn't really maintain that because I love eating. Food is just so good. And then I was like, okay, I'll go back into it and I'll just work out hard and eat better, lose the pounds that way. And that's what I'm trying to do now. I was at like 215. I'm about 203, 202 right now. Fluctuate between like 199 and 202. Trying to get down. I want to get down. Like, a nice weight would be 190. If I could lose 15 pounds, that would be nice. Because I got somewhat of a gut. It's just like my impulse eating. It's just when I am eating, I just don't know when to stop. And that's the same problem I have with drinking most of the time, which I'm getting better at, I will say. Just because drinking is more harmful than eating, in my opinion, in the way that I do it. So, yeah, I'm on creatine. Anyway, I look up to Mark Norman and all of them. Shane Gillis, big inspiration for this podcast, because all they do is just talk. And that's all I've ever wanted, was just have a conversation with people. And I think my conversations with people are entertaining, and I want to have conversations with as many people as possible. And I feel like the more people start talking, the more people connect with each other. You know what I'm saying? From a moral standpoint and from like a philosophical standpoint, I mean, I think it's good for everybody. I think it's good for America for people to talk. So that's what I want to do. I want to have as many people on as I want. I went out with my cousin last night, and he's like 45, but I was like, dude, hop on the podcast. I have another guy, Casey, from work. He wants to hop on the podcast. My roommate, he's going to be on here pretty consistently once he gets his shit together. And he's going to be gone. I'm going to have the apartment for like 2 weeks now, too, because he's leaving for work. Regardless, there's a lot of people I want to have discussions with. I want to have my mom on the podcast. I want to have my dad on the podcast. Here he comes. No. Come out. I hear you skibbling around. Scaring me. Yeah, there he is. You had me thinking that you weren't there, actually. But I want to have everybody on. Oh, this is Cody, by the way. He's my roommate. He's going to be the one that's going to be on the podcast on the Hung Dynasty. He's part of the Hung Dynasty. It's him, Matt, and Chris. And you've already been introduced to Chris. That's where this started. From the beginning. But I think that's what I want. I want to just talk to everybody. And I think that's important. Goodbye. Have fun. He's going to dinner. Lost my train of thought there for a second. You know, it's weird, like, because I'm performing, and he comes through. It's like, damn, like, what am I doing? Knocks you off your little pedestal a little bit, like if I was on stage. Yeah, so Shane Gillis, they just talk, and they're funny, and I want to be funny. I want to talk. I've wanted to do a podcast ever since Joe Rogan. Ever since I started watching Joe. Mr. Drogan, as I called it. I'll eat a Sour Patch Kid there in a brief intermission. I love Sour Patch Kids. Knocked me on my train of thought, motherfucking again. But yeah, I haven't stopped thinking about podcasting, man. And this is all I've ever wanted to do, and now I have the opportunity to do it. And now I have people that want to watch my podcast. Dude, you don't have to tell me twice. I'm gonna keep it on doing this. As long as people are watching, I'm gonna keep on doing it, because this is all I've ever wanted to do. This is a passion of mine, man. And I feel like for the longest time, I didn't know what my passion was. Like, what in terms of like a job, what would I really want to do? What do you really want to do that wouldn't feel like a job when you're doing it? And then you don't ever feel like you're working a day in your life. I've always been told that you have to find something that you enjoy so it doesn't feel like working. So, what does that look like to me? I thought it was psychology for the longest time, because I love to help people, and I think the mind is very interesting. But, you know, from what I would want to do is like 7 years of schooling, and I could put in the work, I could put in the time and effort, but it's not something that I don't think I've actively enjoyed it, you know? I haven't gained, it's interesting, but I don't think that something that's very interesting. I guess from my opinion, from where I'm looking at it from, that's all it is. I would love to learn about it. I don't think I'd like to work for it, you know? Now, I would love to be a therapist. I would love to help people with their things, but ideally the end goal from psychology was to conduct research. And I still want to get my degree, and I still want to like see if I can go down that path, but I've made mistakes being a young adult. Took a gap year after high school, didn't really know what I wanted until I was done with my AA. And then I was like trying to go on track, but my GPA was bad, so I couldn't really get into good schools. And it's just about a lot of catching up. And that's been like majority of my school career is just like I'm always one step behind. I'm always in a deficit. It's always like I'm playing basketball and it's the fourth quarter. I'm down 10 with 7 minutes left. Completely doable, but stressful. You got to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's every single step of the way. And I'm 26 years old, man. And I've been in school for my entire life, basically. And right now, I'm not going to school just because of unforeseen circumstances. We'll get into that in a later pod because I could go and rant about it. But right now, I have the opportunity to spread my wings and see what I really want to do. And I was like, you know what, man, fuck it. I'm going to podcast. This is an opportunity for me to do so. I've been talking about it. We've tried it in the past. I'm going for it. And I won't stop. I think we're getting to a point to where I don't know how long I should make these. I don't know what the average attention span is. I think once I get more of I'm gonna plug out as much content as possible, but I'm not gonna make like an hour long, 2 hour long video like from the jump. You know what I mean? Because people don't know me. Why would you want to listen to some dumbass talk for like an hour when it's like, why would I do that? I'm thinking about it rationally. I'm not gonna drop an hour long video talking about nothing. That's all I'm talking about is nothing, basically. But this is just. I think it's good to know how people think. I'm just an average dude, and you don't really get a lot of content from average people. It's always like some guy's millionaire this and drops a podcast, or here's another very successful comedian drops a podcast, and then you got Hawk Tua girl dropping a podcast. It's like, dude, all these people are celebrities, and yeah, you can. Hawk Tua is not an official celebrity, but she is now. I mean, she has somewhat of a following, but regardless, the point I'm trying to make is people need like a dose of reality almost. I feel like there's a disconnect between seeing what's on social media and what really happens in an average person's life. And I would say that I'm just average. So yeah, I thank you. Tune in again. I need to learn how to stop talking and end this. Regardless, I digress. I hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll say it again. And have a good one. I'll be back next time. Bye-bye.